Adversity doesn't break you. It reveals who you truly are. That's something most people don't realize until they're deep in the fire, when life hits them with something so painful, so unexpected, that it shatters the image they had of how their story was supposed to go. For me, that moment came on a football field in 2006. I had worked my whole life to get to that point. From a rough neighborhood in Kirkwood, living in a two-bedroom house with 13 other people, fighting every single day to make it out, to make it to the NFL, not just for me, but for my family, for the people who believed in me. I thought football was my purpose. I thought it was everything, but life had other plans. That one hit, that one place. Suddenly, I couldn't move my right arm. I remember waking up after surgery, and the doctor looked me in the eyes and said, "Inky, you'll never play again." Just like that. All the training, all the sacrifice, all the dreams gone, and for a split second I felt lost. I didn't know who I was without football, but then something happened. As I laid there, broken in body but not in spirit, I realized this wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of something different, something deeper, something more powerful. See, we think adversity is the enemy. We try to avoid it, run from it, pray it away. But what if adversity is actually the doorway to our destiny? What if the pain we try so hard to resist is the very thing that will develop the character we need to walk into our purpose? In that hospital bed, I came face to face with who I really was, not the football player, not the rising star, but the man. I realized I had been building something more important than a career. I had been building character. I had been building faith. I had been building the ability to persevere. The truth is, everybody looks good when they're winning. But who are you when you lose? Who are you when the lights go off, when the applause fades, when the dream dies? That's when your true self shows up. That's when your foundation is tested. And if you've been building on something solid, on values, on faith, on integrity, you won't crumble. You'll rise. That's what adversity does. It strips away the surface and reveals the core. And so, while that injury ended my football career, it introduced me to my purpose. It taught me that I'm more than what I do, that my worth isn't tied to a jersey or a title. It showed me that the fire didn't come to destroy me. It came to refine me. That's the gift of adversity. It doesn't define you. It asterisk reveals asterisk you. Pain can be the birthplace of purpose, if you choose to see it that way. The problem is, most people get so caught up in the pain that they miss the purpose inside of it. When I suffered my career-ending injury, I could have chosen to be bitter. I could have questioned everything and let anger take root in my heart. I could have looked at God and said, "Why me?" But instead I asked, "What now?" Because deep down I believed that if I still had breath in my body, then I still had work to do. That's the difference between staying stuck and moving forward. What you choose to believe in the middle of your pain. It's easy to feel like pain is punishment. It's easy to think that when something goes wrong, it means you failed, or you're not good enough, or life is just unfair. And sometimes, yeah, life is unfair. But pain isn't always about what went wrong. It's often about what's being built. Pain is a teacher. Pain is a refiner. And if you lean into it instead of running from it, you'll find that it's shaping you into the person you were always meant to be. For me, that meant realizing that my story didn't end with a broken dream. My story was just beginning, and my pain was the tool that would give it power. After my injury, I had a choice to make. I could sit in silence and let my pain consume me, or I could speak and let my pain serve someone else. I chose to speak. I chose to share. I chose to turn my pain into purpose, not just for me, but for the people out there who felt broken, lost, forgotten. People who needed to know that what they were going through didn't mean their life was over. My scar became my testimony. My injury became my invitation to impact lives beyond a game. That's when everything changed. The moment I stopped asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and started asking, "How can I use this?" that's when I found purpose. Purpose isn't about perfection. It's not about everything going right. It's about making something meaningful out of what went wrong. It's about letting your darkest moments shine light into someone else's life. That's real purpose, and it's not always glamorous. Sometimes it's born in tears in hospital rooms in heartbreak. But it's real, it's lasting, it matters, so I don't regret what happened to me. Because without the pain, I wouldn't have found the platform. Without the suffering, I wouldn't have stepped into significance. My injury was the very thing that introduced me to my assignment, and that's what I want others to understand. Your pain is not a period, it's a comma. Don't stop there. Don't get stuck there. Press through, because on the other side of that pain is your purpose. And the world is waiting for you to walk in it. When your dream dies, your destiny doesn't. That's one of the most important lessons I learned after my injury. We often build our identity around what we do. Our talents, our goals, our titles. I was known as Inky Johnson, the football player. The kid who fought his way out of poverty to make it to the University of Tennessee. The one destined for the NFL. That dream consumed my thoughts, my habits, my drive. Every morning I woke up with that dream in front of me, and every night I laid my head down with it still on my mind. But in one single moment that dream died, and I had to confront a terrifying question: who am I without it? Most people never prepare for that moment. We hold on to our dreams so tightly that we forget the dream was never the destination. It was just a vehicle. See, God will often allow something to break in your life, not to punish you, but to pivot you. What we think is the dream dying is often God redirecting us to the destiny He designed for us all along. My football career ended, but what was born out of that loss was far greater than anything I could have imagined. I didn't know it then, but speaking into people's lives, helping others overcome pain, standing on stages around the world sharing my story. That was the real assignment. Football was just the path that prepared me for it. Sometimes the death of a dream is necessary for the birth of destiny. If football hadn't been taken from me, I probably never would have found my true calling. I was so locked in on the game that I couldn't see past it. But when it was stripped away, I had to dig deep and figure out what I was really made of, and what I was really here for. And what I discovered was that the impact I was meant to make had nothing to do with touchdowns or trophies. It had everything to do with transformation, not just my own, but the transformation I could inspire in others. Destiny isn't always wrapped in the spotlight. Sometimes it's hidden in struggle. Sometimes you find it not when you win, but when you lose something you thought you couldn't live without. That's where clarity is born. That's where character is built. That's where purpose becomes undeniable. I didn't just want to be known. I wanted to make a difference, and it took losing my dream to find a life of real significance. So if you're in that place right now, if something you've worked your whole life for suddenly slips away, don't believe the lie that it's over. Just because your dream didn't happen the way you thought doesn't mean your destiny is gone. It just means there's something greater ahead. Keep walking. Keep believing, because the dream may die, but your purpose never does. You find your character in how you respond when everything falls apart. It's easy to have a good attitude when everything's going your way. When the money is flowing, the job is secure, the dreams are coming true. Anybody can smile when they're winning, but real character is revealed when you lose, when the storm hits, when the phone call comes, when life doesn't just knock on your door, but kicks it in and shakes your world. That's when the mask comes off. That's when the true foundation of who you are is tested. For me, that moment came in a hospital bed with my arm paralyzed and my NFL dream shattered. But I realized quickly, this moment wasn't about what happened to me. It was about how I would respond. Character is forged in adversity. You don't build strength by avoiding hardship. You build it by walking through it. You don't learn perseverance by quitting when things get hard. You learn it by pressing on even when it hurts. That's what life taught me. I didn't have a playbook for what to do when everything changed. I had to make a choice. Would I let bitterness win, or would I fight to become better? Would I stay angry, or would I stand up and be accountable to the life I still had? Every day after that injury, I made the decision to lean into growth, to lead with faith, to become a man who lives by principle, not by circumstance. See, most people think character is just about being a good person, but it's so much deeper than that. Character is about being consistent when no one is watching. It's about staying committed when you don't feel like it. It's about holding on to integrity when you could easily compromise. And in those moments when everything fell apart, When my dreams seemed out of reach and my body was broken, my character spoke louder than any words ever could. I had to show up not just for myself, but for my family, my teammates, my community, and now the people who listen to my story. And the only way I could do that was by being anchored in who I was, not what I had. People often ask me, how did you keep going, Inky? And my answer is always the same. I built my life on something that adversity couldn't take away. It couldn't steal my faith. It couldn't erase my work ethic. It couldn't break my gratitude. So even when everything else fell apart, I still had something solid to stand on. That's what character gives you. It's your anchor in the storm. So if life ever breaks your plans, don't let it break your principles. If you lose your dream, don't lose your discipline. Because when it's all said and done, talent may open the door, but character is what keeps it open. And when the pressure's on, your character will either crumble, or it will carry you. The choice is yours. Your setback is someone else's survival guide. What you go through is never just about you. The pain, the disappointment, the heartbreak, it all feels personal in the moment, but what you don't realize is that your story is meant to breathe life into somebody else. When I was lying in that hospital bed with a paralyzed arm, I had no idea how God was going to use that moment. I didn't understand how something so painful could ever serve a greater purpose. But over time, I realized that my journey, my setback, was a blueprint for somebody else to keep going when they wanted to quit. My scar wasn't just a wound, it was a witness. See, people connect to your scars more than your success. Success is inspiring, but scars are relatable. When you stand up and say, I've been through something, I've suffered, I've struggled, but I'm still here. That gives others permission to believe they can do the same. When you open up about your failures and your fears, you create a space for healing. Not just for yourself, but for everyone listening. That's what I found through speaking. Every time I stepped on a stage, I wasn't performing. I was serving. I was putting my pain on display, not for applause, but for purpose. Too many people hide their setbacks because they're ashamed. But I believe the most powerful thing you can do is be honest about where you've been. Not from a place of victimhood, but from a place of victory. Because when you tell your truth, when you say, this is what happened and this is how I kept going, you offer hope, and hope is contagious. It spreads, it multiplies, it changes lives. I've had people come up to me after talks and say, Inky, I was ready to give up, but then I heard your story. And every time I'm reminded that what felt like the worst moment of my life has become a source of strength for someone else. That's why I wouldn't change it, not even if I could, because it's not just about me anymore. It's about the young man who feels like his life is over after one bad break. It's about the woman battling illness who needs to know she's not alone. It's about the person sitting in silence, wrestling with grief, looking for a reason to believe again. Your setback, your story, might be the lifeline they need. So don't run from your pain. Don't bury your story. Share it, use it, let it speak to someone who's still in the storm, because the truth is, what you've been through might just be the key to unlocking someone else's breakthrough, and in that, there is purpose. In that, there is legacy. That's how you turn a setback into something sacred. That's how you turn your past into someone else's path forward.